need to cry. I need to cry this morning. So I keep feeling like I've failed tremendously. Just having flashbacks to an earlier time when I felt very powerful. Now I'm gonna just recount this as faithfully as I can. I felt very powerful. I felt focused. I felt secure. I felt supported. I did feel special. I absolutely felt special. I felt special and I felt loved. And special and loved in the eyes of some higher being, the eyes of the universe, the eyes of God, whatever, just, special in some way that's like more than human. And I felt like I had it figured out. I felt like I was here for a reason, that I had this great purpose, that I was more than human, and here to help people, to help. I thought, maybe it was helping us realize our greatness, that kind of thing. And I was of two minds, because on one level I did believe that we were all like angelic beings, and had these divine creative powers and this divine like birthright. I was invested in that community, because I know that's a community, that's a space that exists. Like unlocking your hidden potential, your ancestral gifts, the special things that you are to share with the world for the purpose of its healing and leading it out of suffering. And I felt like I was going to be a leader. And so helping people to awaken to these gifts. But of course, what that means is that I had to be someone who had already done it, someone who was already like ahead of the game, and had the experience and the knowledge and the abilities to like awaken this in other people, and that felt tremendously special, and that felt tremendously superior, whether or not I wanted to actually admit to that, or even if I did, it was, it's okay, because this is a superiority that is going to help people. Like, it's for a good cause. It's got a purpose. And I did a lot to make myself worthy. There was a lot of disciplining and giving up a lot of things. So much time spent meditating and praying and like trying to commune with angels and deities, and asking for visions and receiving visions, and then I felt like I was receiving. I was, I had all these crazy dreams, and I learned stuff in my dreams, and I heard voices speaking in languages that I didn't know, and I wrote down what I heard and found that the words existed, that they translated to Hebrew or to Old English. English to like Welsh and shit, and I received visions, and I felt so connected, like I was being gifted this higher knowledge and this awareness of how things really worked, and the inner workings of the universe and life itself, and I had all this energy, and I was doing so much. I was reading tarot all the time and delivering messages for the collective, and doing energy work and purifying myself over and over continuously, continuous purification and energy cleansing and cutting cords and just everything, all kinds of stuff. And then I got sick. I got COVID. I got it pretty bad. Obviously not real bad. I wasn't hospitalized, but it took me out, and I had no more energy, and I just didn't have the energy to do all the things, and I started to lose the vigor and the hope for what it was that I was going to be achieving, for this mission that I was so sure that I was here to accomplish, and was being reinforced by what I was experiencing, that I was, hearing things and seeing things, and there was traction on the YouTube channel, and it was like I was getting noticed, like suddenly I was standing out and people were seeing me and listening to me. And then I got sick, and I was already kind of headed towards a burnout, but it happened fully then. I had no energy. I had no energy to do the exercising and the disciplined stuff. Just the discipline started to crumble. I just felt so lifeless and helpless, and I realized there's a fly in here that I had been viewing many things as a test, and I was determined to pass the test. I was going to pass the test. I was going to earn my wings. That's it. I was going to, and I'm going to let whatever wants to come through, come through. It felt like I was earning some kind of special place, and I felt it, and I felt loved, and I let that in because I finally felt worthy of it. But it wasn't a worthiness. I told myself it was a worthiness that had always been there and that I had just uncovered, but it was a worthiness that I worked for. It was a worthiness that as soon as I started to let go of the disciplines and the practices, that it gradually and then very quickly began to crumble. And all the stuff went away. All the voices went quiet, and the dreams stopped, and the visions stopped, and I suddenly felt like I couldn't meditate anymore, and the thoughts got louder again, louder than they'd ever been. It seemed, at least. They seemed louder. I had never heard them this loud and this persistent, and I felt like I had risen to a great height, only to fall, only to plummet. And this is where I am. I am feeling this feeling of like I have failed, like I had a chance, at greatness, at something, at this, what felt like this just divine power and love, and I failed. And so it all went away, that it's all been withdrawn. And I'm just realizing in saying this, and what prompted me to actually make this recording, is that I don't want a love that has to be earned. I feel like whatever was happening, it was an abusive relationship. That was a toxic relationship. I had just left. I had just been removed from, actually, a toxic relationship with a person, a human person, and was just beginning to see, as all this was unfolding, how that had operated, and beginning to see in all human relationships the ways that we are manipulating each other into behaving a certain way. And we do that through both negative and positive reinforcement. And this is well discussed in psychology, and it's just accepted as like a totally appropriate, okay thing to treat each other like animals, which we are. And also we're treating animals this way, and this is also horrifying. But to treat each other, to treat children in particular, because it's slightly more frowned upon as an adult, treating other adults this way. For whatever reason, it's like in these specific contexts, especially with children, oh yeah, it's fine. We expect you to be training your children to behave in a way that appeases you. But if you try to do that with other adults, then you're bad. Then you're a bad person. Then you're toxic. Never mind the fact that you were taught to do this. You were taught to do this by your parents, by authority figures, by the people around you. You were taught that this is the way that we relate to each other, that we have to earn love. And that when we behave in the ways that we're told to, we get rewarded. And that's what this all suddenly feels like to me. That there was something that was a reward. And the reward was letting myself feel worthy, for one, and letting this feeling of love in, and also feeling very special and having these what felt like special abilities. Those were rewards, and I was being rewarded for my behavior. I was being rewarded for my behavior. And so, again, the rewards were the perceived special abilities and love. Really feeling loved. And I am realizing now, hello fly, that anything that is going to reward or then punish me, because now it feels like a punishment. That all of that has been removed, right? I'm no longer behaving the way that I was. I'm not following this rigid, disciplined whatever. I'm not praying to the gods, to the deities, to the angels, and so all of the special abilities and the feeling of belovedness have been removed. And I'm not making any statements about what's happening here with that. I don't know. But I do know that I don't want to be a part of any relationship that is manipulative. I don't want to be a part of a relationship where I am rewarded for certain behavior and punished for other behavior. And that I call the rewarding and the showering of praise love, because that's not fucking love. That is not love. That is the bastardized, backwards version of manipulative attachment that we have learned as humans to call love, when it is no such thing. when it actually enrages me that that is the case. And this is a rage that carries no blame for anyone. Who could even be blamed in the first place? Where does this begin? You know, I don't know if this could even be traced back to, I think it's traced back to misperception, probably. The original sin, misunderstanding of divine love. The first time that a human experienced a thought that said, I'm not enough. I'm not enough as I am, and so I have to become worthy, and I have to become worthy of love, and I know that I'm worthy of love when I'm doing these things and I'm receiving these rewards, and that's when I let the love in. And otherwise, it's not, you know, I'm not experiencing the loving, and I'm not enough, and I just go back through this cycle over and over. I want for that to end. I would like for that to be done. And I'm seeing that as I physically participated in it, I spiritually participated in it. And now I'm in this place of total ordinariness. Total commonplace, run-of-the-mill, ordinary human experience. And tremendous suffering. And there is still a voice in my head saying that the suffering is a punishment. It's a failure. It's demonstrative of failure in me, that I was doing it. I had it. What happened? What happened? I let it all slip away. I fucked it up somehow. That's what this voice wants to say, and it wants to say that about every part of my being, my body, my mind, my heart, you know, because all of those things were being conditioned. I was conditioning them. I was conditioning my body through work, through exercises, through practice, and I was conditioning my mind through meditation. I was conditioning my heart the same way, through prayer and prostration, essentially, and what is the love of a conditioned thing but conditional loving? I mean, that if you are loving a thing for being conditioned, for undergoing the conditioning, then what kind of love is that? It's not unconditional, clearly, by definition. So if I don't have that love, because I'm not meeting the conditions of conditioning myself in a certain way, then that is not a love that I want. That is not a love that I want, from wherever it is perceived to be coming from, whether it is God or the universe or just my fucking mind. And I don't want to be loving myself conditionally, which I realize has happened again. And of course, unconditional loving means accepting that and not... That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that that's happened again. That I love the being that I am, and I love the way of the being, even all of it, because the way can't be incorrect. The way is arisen from the being. The way is born from the being. And there is no wrong way of being. and no right way, no special fucking way, no better way. And I know there are a lot of people, this is the hard part. Because there's something absolutely deep in me that wants validation. It wants relatability. It wants other people to say, yes, I know what you're saying and I agree with you and I'm with you. And I'm not judging that as wrong. I think that's a perfectly natural impulse. But I don't want that to be the thing that allows me to validate myself in this experience. To say that this is my experience and that it is right for me. And it doesn't matter if anyone else is experiencing it this way. And it doesn't make me special. It just means this is my version. This is the way that I wanted this story to unfold for my experiencing of it. It's really easy for the mind to make what I'm experiencing into something different, something special, something other than previously it was, a positive version of special. It can be a negative version of special too. In fact, that's the more common, that's the one I'm more familiar with. So that one my mind it's prepped and ready for. It's had a lifetime, probably multiple lifetimes, of practicing the story of how especially fucked up I am, how especially broken, how especially good I am at suffering, which is just a different way for the ego to feel separate from. And I'm not judging that. I'm just noticing it in myself over and over and fucking over, because it's all the time. It's all the time. And I know it's just scared. I know that ego tells these familiar stories because it's deeply afraid. It's afraid of the unknown. And it's been telling this story of its unworthiness, of its not enoughness for millennia. It doesn't know how not to tell this story. To stop telling that story would be the undoing of all stories. That's the foundation of all the storytelling that's been happening for a very long time, is the unworthiness, the not enoughness, the incompletion of this self. So it's deeply afraid to let go of that. It doesn't know how not to tell stories, and it doesn't know how not to start from that place. If you even feed it something like, well, what if we start with the line, and everything is complete, and I am complete? It doesn't know where to go from there. It's like, well, what then? If everything is complete, then I have nothing to add. It sees, even though we start with the completion of all things and the wholeness of being and the perfection of being, it sees that as an ending. It sees that as the closing line. So how does it write a story from there? I'm not sure. I think it's a different kind of story. Maybe it's no story at all, but it is still experiencing. Maybe that is the end of stories and the beginning of just experience. I don't know. And there is something deeply saddening and terrifying about that prospect. But I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I'm not receiving any secret knowledge, any transmissions from galactics or angels or whatever the fuck. I'm not having prophetic dreams anymore. I'm not hearing echolalia and, you know, angelic choirs. None of that. I'm just an ordinary fucking human. And yet I am the divine being, the same as all. Anyway, I gotta get inside. This is what it is. I do know suffering is not a punishment. I know it's a choice. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean I'm bad or good. It just means this is the choice I'm making right now. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I got. I do love you. Unconditionally. You don't have to be here watching this video. You don't have to like it. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to leave a comment. You don't have to do a single thing. The love that I feel, the appreciation for sharing this human experience and for being with you is profound and unlimited and utterly unconditional. So however you are being, whatever way you are being, whatever you do or don't do, I don't fucking care. That is love. And I recognize the sameness of our being, the oneness of ourself experiencing and expressing diversification. And that is beautiful. And it doesn't mean anything. It just is. So I love you. Thank you for being. And take it fucking easy.